Many of the obedience seem to think that you have a personal vendetta against Peter Obi and the obedience. Do you have an issue with them?
I don't. I'm going to tell you what happened. I took a vow to destroy that movement because PLB was a project of mine. Myself, two people actually, Senator Ben Moribuz and I, a former president had asked us to make sure that we promote him because he felt that he was a good candidate. And so I did my best. I spent my money to promote him. I was responsible for Peter Obi becoming the running mate to Waziri Atiku Abubakar in 2019. I've said this publicly. I've got the document. I'm a meticulous record keeper. Waziri Atiku Abubakar cannot deny. Peter Obi cannot deny. Peter Obi was lobbying me, sending me his resume. We did everything we did. I've not collected a dime from Peter Obi. Now, what happened is that Peter Obi left our party, the People's Democratic Party, without informing any of us who helped him. And that's okay. He should have done that. But he left the party just suddenly. And then, obviously, we couldn't go with him because he didn't tell us that he was leaving. Now, even if he told us, we wouldn't have gone with him. So we had our party and we had our candidates, and we were trying to build our party. And what happened is that Peter Obi's movement, Obedience, they started attacking me, insulting me. Now, that was okay, but then they moved from myself to my family. I just had a daughter at that time. There were multiple threats. They came to my house in the United Kingdom. They trailed my wife and I when we were jogging. They found out my jogging route, and then they would pursue me jogging and then hitting me. And so one day I just got very annoyed. I contacted Peter Obi. I told him this is what was happening. And I named a specific individual who is online. I knew that the person masquerades as a mixed race girl on X. And I told him, look, I know who the person is. You've got to speak with that person on the phone. Peter Obi put me on speakerphone, talked to somebody in the background, and then later came back to me. I said, look, he cannot condemn that person. That specific person, he cannot condemn that person, but he will issue a general statement, but he cannot condemn that person. So that means that Peter Obi knew who that person was. Anyway, the attacks continued, and I would contact Peter Obi, and I've got records of all of this. Peter Obi would not do anything. And so I took a decision one day. I said, well, if Peter Obi is like this, if he's not going to control this movement, this thuggish movement, this mob, this headless mob, then I am going to do my possible best with whatever considerable, a political machinery that I have to destroy that movement.
So
and that's just a summary of what happened.
Would you care to mention who the person was that you said you had spoken to? Peter
Well, I discussed with Peter Obi. I don't think it's right for me to come here and then begin to do that. I put it to Peter Obi. The thing about me is this: is that I don't. I'm not afraid of a confrontation, but when I want to do it, I will do it with you face to face and make sure that I give you an opportunity to put what is wrong right. And if you can do that, then the relationship is safe. But if you can't, well, then it goes awry. It goes awry, sorry.
Okay, guys, Reno Omokri has opened up on his deep hatred towards Peter Obi. For quite a long time, Reno Omokri has been bashing Obi, calling him all sort of names, monitoring Obi's movements, trying to paint Peter Obi in a very bad light. That was how Reno Omokri bashed Obi recently when Obi went to the stadium when Nigeria and another country, when they were playing this football match. So Reno Omokri bashed Obi that Obi likes busybody, that why would he go to that stadium, why would he go there to show himself and all of that. And we all know Obi went there to represent Nigeria. He went there to support the Super Eagles. He went there not because he wants to get noticed, not because of the public attention, but because he went as a Nigerian and to support the Super Eagles ahead of the AFCON final match. But then, what can we say? Reno is Reno. So Reno Omokri, turned the situation around and started calling Peter Obi all sort of names. We all know Reno has this deep hatred for Peter Obi, but guys, this seems to be the root cause of Reno's deep hatred for Peter Obi. And mind you, Obi is not the problem of Nigeria. Obi is not a part and parcel of what is really rocking this country, or the troubles rocking this country. No, but Reno Omokri is always there to to badmouth Obi, to insult Obi in one way or the other, and anything that concerns Peter Obi. So this is just a breakdown from Reno Omokri regarding Peter Obi, and how he started hating him, how the Obedients were trailing him, they were going after him, going after his family, and he called Obi that Obi should talk to the Obedients. Obi should talk to some persons who were threatening him, but Obi refused. So I guess we will have to wait for the reply from Peter Obi, although ever since Reno Omokri started bashing Obi, Obi has not in any way replied Reno. He has never replied Reno Omokri. No matter the insults, no matter what Reno says against Obi, Obi has not replied him. So this is really interesting. Reno Omokri also gave hints during this interview on why he supports President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration despite his earlier criticisms. Yes, my country people. Reno Omokri also gave insights on how he became supportive of this Tinubu's administration despite him criticizing Tinubu in the past. You see, Reno Omokri was one of Tinubu's strongest critic during the 2023 election. At the build-up of the 2023 election, Reno Omokri went to London. He was protesting that Tinubu is a drug baron, he's this, he's that, and all of a sudden, after the election, Reno Omokri dropped those things and started hailing Tinubu. Many people began to wonder why the sudden change of heart. How come this man you once bashed, now you are praising him? What happened? What changed? So Reno also gave insights on, his sudden change of heart. So my country people, what are your thoughts on this?
Can you speak to what then else changed your perception of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and why if you feel differently about him?
Well, then, because at that time I hadn't met him. I mean, you can read out the date again to your listeners, to your audience. That was a date before the elections. I hadn't met him, and meeting him changed my perception about him. You got to recall, that was an electioneering period. That was a campaign season. And during campaign season, you use everything that you have against your opponent. By the time I met him, by the time I saw his economic agenda, first and foremost, what you have to understand is that his economic agenda is identical to the economic agenda that we had in the PDP. I was responsible right from 2019, not even 2023, for helping our candidate to put together his economic agenda. When he went to Chatham House, I single-handedly wrote his speech. No other person wrote it. I, from A to Z, I single-handedly wrote his speech. So I'm very intimate with his economic agenda. And it's not a surprise because both Waziri Atiku Abubakar and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu were in the Social Democratic Party. So if you look at our economic agenda, the things that we promised to do, this president is doing them. We promised that we're going to remove false subsidies. The president is doing them. We promised that we're going to float the naira. The president is doing that. We promised that we're going to devolve power from the federal to the state and local government. This president is doing that. So basically, if he's doing the things that we said we're going to do, why should I be against him? Look,